Hey guys, we know you're going to be hosting Thanksgiving this year, but we have something even better. We're talking hosts of Westworld, and even if you don't know what's going on in the park, we're going to fill you in right here on Screen Junkies News. All right, with me today to discuss this, we have one of our local Westworld experts, Roth Cornett.
I don't know if I'm an expert. I am an avid watcher and theorizer, though.
I think that's what makes you an expert in the show, because nobody's really an expert. Everybody's sort of running around with their tinfoil hats on. We have our neophyte. Yeah. We have Dan Merle, who has never seen the show.
Never seen the show. I was on vacation and missed the first episode. Mm-hmm. And then all I heard about was theories and this and that and one thing and thing. And I'm sorry, I went through one Lost. I went through one show with a Man in Black about 80 million fan theories, and I heard mixed things. I heard it was great. I heard it was terrible.
Who said it was terrible?
I have a lot of people that have said it was terrible.
So Dan doesn't like nice things.
I can't have my heart broken again, and so I have not watched the show.
Interesting. Well, hopefully letting some clarity. We also have Charlie Feldman here. You're going to be on the socials letting us know what people are talking about?
Beep bop boop bop.
Now, we need to give you guys a warning. We're going to talk spoilers. We're going to get into this because Dan needs to be educated, not just on why the show is amazing, but also on what's going on. So if you haven't seen the show, spoiler alert, tune off.
But wait. Oh, okay.
What?
So I'm gonna get the briefing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
sucker. You're the one. You denied yourself.
You denied it.
All right.
There's only so many hours in the day, Sasha.
That's a good hour to spend.
We're here to help you out, Dan, because the truth is, as we know, a lot of times the water cooler conversation is happening on Twitter, it's happening in person, it's happening wherever you go, and you don't want to feel left out. And let's face it, a lot of people are faking that they have seen things that they haven't, and known things that they don't, because they don't want to be left out of the conversation. I'm with you.
Yeah.
We're just here to help you fake it better.
That's right. And also, this is going to be one of those very weird Thanksgivings, especially if you're here in America, where you're probably going to have a lot of conversations you don't want to have. You need to pivot out of those. You need to get to things that you want to actually talk about. Westworld, even if you haven't seen it, you want to sound smart. Even if you don't want to sound smart, you want to talk about something you like, so we're going to give you little out points. Roth, what do people need to know?
So the basic things that you need to know about Westworld is that this is based on a Michael Crichton book. This is also not a remake, but an adaptation of the movie version of it.
Which was his directorial debut.
Yeah, and it was starring none other than Mr. The King and I.
Yul Brynner.
Now that I know.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote the book, and I know, and I've seen the movie.
Okay,
so
excellent.
that I know.
You're in great shape.
You're already doing well,
Yeah.
so
You're in
you
great
know some
shape.
of the basic premise. This is good.
Yes.
The characters that you will probably hear people talk about the most is Ed Harris.
Ed Harris, who is the
plays-
Man in Black. We don't have an actual name for him yet because, spoiler, he's actually William. He's totally Jimmy Simpson. Sasha's hat is on. Theories are rolling. Spoilers are flying, you guys. So the Man in Black is Ed Harris.
That's just like Lost.
Then you're going to want to know about Anthony Hopkins, who is Dr. Robert Ford.
Who is the guy who oversees the park. He's the mastermind.
Yep.
He is the Hannibal of this park's Lecter.
And also, here's the thing. You don't necessarily have to remember every character's name and every actor that plays them, because we watch Westworld and we sometimes today we're like, who's that one again?
Yeah, there's names I still haven't learned. But another name you have
Just
to
like
know, Evan Rachel Wood, Dolores. Dolores, who is so fantastic. Evan Rachel Wood giving phenomenal work every single week. So Dolores, she's sort of our way in. A lot of the stories about her, she's one of my favorite lines so far of the TV season, where she says, I imagined a story where I wasn't the damsel. Oh, God, I love
T-shirt
it.
now.
Wow.
Another awesome character is Maeve, played by Thandie Newton. She is, look at her.
She's
glorious.
well, that's one of the few shots where she's wearing clothes.
And she is a madam who is also a badass who's going to help us break out of the park. We think maybe there's a lot going on with that character, so she will come up a lot, especially most recently.
She's also one of the people who's starting to gain some awareness, some sentience, so she's somebody you have to be very aware of.
And probably things that we should have told you so far is that as far as we know, that the Man in Black is a human being, Ford is a human being, Dolores is a host, there's a keyword.
AKA a robot. But the word host is very important. Host and guest.
Yes.
These are the buzzwords.
Okay, so then another one is James Marsden, who plays Teddy.
Teddy, aka Westworld's Kenny. They always kill Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy will. Oh, beautiful, beautiful James Marsden. Look at that face. They
guessing
bloody
he's a
it up.
robot.
He is a robot,
Okay.
and he dies constantly, and it's awesome.
He is. He really is the Kenny of this world.
Yeah.
Another one is Bernard.
Oh.
Big one the last couple of weeks.
Yes, Jeffrey Wright. So we're talking Oscar-worthy acting and such an interesting character. Bernard has been one of my favorite storylines, although I will say, I called that one the same way I'm going to call some other stuff in a minute. Go!
Teresa is another one that you'll need to know about.
You do not know this actress's name because we can't pronounce it, but she was also in that stupid Da Vinci Code spinoff movie.
Yes.
And Da Vinci Code spinoff movie?
Well, it's not Angels and Demons. It was
Inferno?
She was in
Yes.
Inferno.
Oh, that was a terrible movie.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't remember its name.
That I have seen.
Yes.
Well, she was in that.
Okay.
We want to get into the fake conversation soon. So Tessa Thompson, who plays Charlotte.
I have a feeling she's not going to be around very long because she's got to go off and shoot Black Panther.
Yeah.
So my guess is she's part of the world, but she won't be there for that much longer.
She is a human being who will also bring up one of our keywords a lot of the time, which is the board,
The board.
which is basically this show's business papers. Every
board?
time they're talking, they're like, we have to, these are the business people.
You got to appease the board.
You have to
A
appease
board.
the board.
Yeah, it's all about the board, the
you gotta-
guests and the hosts and the storylines and the board.
I thought you said the Borg, so there's like a crossover. I would
be
watch
amazing.
that if the Borg showed up.
I can't believe you're not watching.
And then we have the best McBoyle, who is Jimmy Simpson, who plays William in the show, who's delivering an incredible dramatic turn. If you like him from It's Always Sunny, you will see what a tremendous actor he is here.
And if you notice, he's wearing a white hat. He had a decision at the very start of the show, white hat or black hat. He chose a white hat, which was just their way of making you think he's not the man in black because they're messing with you.
Yeah, and exactly. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. So he is a guest.
Yes.
Okay. He is a guest who is traveling with
Dolores. Evan Rachel Wood.
Evan Rachel Wood. Now we're going to get you into a couple of conversations that would likely come up among people who watch Westworld, and we're going to tell you how to get out of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Timelines.
Big buzzword.
Okay, Sasha, let's pretend.
Okay.
Let's all pretend. Dan, we're hanging out at Thanksgiving. We're at
Right.
the table, eating some food.
So Ralph, you know what? A lot of people were talking that there were 2 timelines, but I gotta tell you, girl, I think there's at least 3, if not 4. Dan, what do you think? 4 timelines? 5 timelines? What do you think?
You know what's interesting about Westworld?
Huh?
This is my go-to.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's really just a proto-Jurassic Park.
That is a good pivot. That is an excellent pivot because it's going to get us onto the topic of Michael Crichton
Exactly.
and Jurassic Park. And also, it's going to give him a lot of clues about what's happening in this world because there are, in fact, a lot of similarities to
are.
Westworld. This is a theme park. It is filled with beings that are very dangerous to us. It is themes about hubris and humanity. This is a theme park full of robots who could kill you at any moment, and it asks questions about what is life, who is God, and who has the power to give and take away life. So that's a good pivot.
was
However,
beautiful, Ross.
what if I go here with this? You know what the other thing is, Sasha, is that, so we are assuming we have 3 timelines, right? We have young William,
Right.
who is traveling with Dolores, who we think something happens with, and then he turns, right? He's this really, really good guy, but we think he turns and becomes the man in black who is Ed Harris. We think this is the same person.
Right.
And then there's another timeline going on with Maeve, right?
Right.
That may or may not be at the same time as young William. But we think it is because we did see them together, but there's a lot of confusion.
Ooh, I have always thought that actually Maeve is in her own timeline, and here's where I get really crazy. I think that Ford created a host version of himself so he could run the park forever.
Yeah.
And I think when we see Maeve breaking out, that is her with Ford as the host version of Ford. But then, of course, there's everything that's going on. We've got Man in Black, we've got William, and then the Dolores storyline has been jumping all over the place.
Well, Maeve, okay, so to clarify my earlier point, Maeve actually, he would have to be with older William, right? It would have, who we think is the Man in Black,
Yeah.
because her memory is of the Man in Black hurting her and her daughter, right? So that has to be around the same time. But here's something else I noticed. There is a time problem in the sense that the show resets the day every day with Maeve. She'll see the same thing, the same guy behind her, the same person putting up the poster. But how is that a good experience if you're a guest at the park?
Oh, interesting. So
Well,
basically
you know
what you're
what's
talking about is a
interesting about
loop.
Michael Crichton
What?
is he likes playing with time.
You know who else likes playing with time? The Nolans.
Yes.
The Nolans who are responsible for this show. You've got Jonathan Nolan. What do you think about those sorts of things? Like an Inception timeline. Oh, I pivoted.
Pivot. So the pivot here is basically, you made a great pivot, which
was
is to
awesome.
just talk about, pull what you know, talk about Crichton, talk about something you already know about in timelines, but you could also say, you know what, have you noticed that the Nolans often have some kind of logic issues when they start playing with time in their movies? Broaden it out. Talk about it.
And suddenly you're into
Interstellar.
Inception, you're into Interstellar.
Yep.
Man, you bring up Interstellar, Thanksgiving just became a party.
Yes, it did.
Well, another big thing you have to talk about is you have to talk about the Man in Black and the maze. Is that just a people trying, or hosts trying to get to their own sentience? My thought is the inside, we're seeing a scalped man from like episode 2 or 3, and we see the maze there. What I was wondering is, because there's another shot in last week's episode where Maeve's brain is glitching and it's fragmenting, and if you look at the fragmentation, it looks very similar to the maze. Is it that your humanity and your brain, if you can link up the maze that is into your scalp and that fragmentation, you become human?
You're blowing my mind.
Right? Well, that's what
Blowing
I think
my mind.
maybe happened to Bernard.
So you're saying that a host, not only can some of the humans that we think are hosts, hang on, some of the humans that we think are human are actually hosts, but that if you're a host, you can actually become human?
I don't think the maze is a physical place. I think the maze is part of like a spiritual, intellectual, emotional journey. And if you go through all of these processes, that's the heavy fragmentation on that brain. It looks a lot like the maze. If you can activate certain things, like I think if neurally you can light up those pathways that match up with the maze inside, like the brain thing, that's Arnold's bigger game, is can you make a robot human by going through that path?
But what is consciousness really? I mean, you know.
That is a great pivot. Are we human or are we dancer? Because two things are going to happen right now. You're going to find yourself with a philosophy nerd who's going to go down that rabbit hole with you, Dan. Or you're going to find yourself with two people that are bored out of their minds and are going to excuse themselves from your portion of the conversation.
Sorry. Yeah.
Here's another good pivot when we're talking about Ed Harris, although I really do quickly want to say this about young and old William.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that what turns young William is that he is in love with Dolores and comes to the realization
That she's
just a robot and can't love him back. And that's what hurts him and breaks him and turns him into such a monster. But stay with me here. If your theory is right, he's trying to find the maze to turn her into a human being who can love him.
Yes, and that's why his wife killed herself, because she always knew that she wasn't really the one that she wanted. And I think he kills Logan while he's still in the park, and that wife is actually Logan, aka Prince Caspian's sister.
Dan, I gotta warn you, I'm starting to feel like you don't watch
Dan,
Westworld. What are you gonna say?
You are so crazy.
You know, Ed Harris is such a great villain.
Right?
You know, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's a great villain in so many things.
You love him, right?
So great.
He's such a good actor.
Such a great actor.
I loved
History
him
of
in
Violence,
Pollock.
right?
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
the one he
History
was
of
in?
Such a good
Violence.
movie.
What about Apollo 13?
Apollo 13, not a villain, but awesome in that.
No, what
Should've
about the
won
right
Oscar.
stuff?
The Right Stuff is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you were with me specifically, that would take me down an entire rabbit hole about Ed Harris and wanting to be Chuck Yeager my entire life.
There you go.
Who did not play Ed Harris, did not play Chuck
Or we
Yeager.
talk about Ed Harris not winning the Oscar for Apollo 13, and then you just talk about how many people should have won an Oscar that didn't win one.
Oh, God, that's a strong pivot. That's strong pivot
Strong
game.
pivot. Get to something that you know that can go into a general conversation about how much we love Ed Harris. You could do something similar with a lot of the actors on this show.
Totally. Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, love him. That's all you have to say. I love Anthony Hopkins.
So it's really, I'm not really so much faking a conversation as I'm just desperately trying to escape a Westworld
Well, I think what we're
conversation.
also trying to do is we're trying to prove to you what a dummy you are for not watching the show, because it's the best.
Well, that's not fair.
No,
I'm
I think
sorry.
that
I shouldn't have called you dummy.
Let's try one conversation that this one is going to be the killer. And I want you, Dan,
Okay.
now that we've prepared you with some key ideas,
Yeah.
to pretend to engage with us. Now, this one is full of pitfalls, so we're going to have a lot of pivots for you because
Okay.
this is Arnold, man. This is the key to everything. Who, Arnold, just so you know, to set that up, Arnold is the mysterious co-founder of the park who went crazy and supposedly died, who is the key to everything. This is what's going on with the maze. This is why are the hosts acting up. Arnold is the key to it all, so let's talk about it. Dan, what do you think, where do you think Arnold is?
Well, you know, that's the thing. That's the fun thing about these sci-fi shows is they give you these big questions to worry about, and it's usually the person that you least suspect.
Oh, interesting. Well, because I've heard that maybe Wyatt and Arnold are the same person, but some people have said that Dolores is Wyatt. So if Wyatt, Dolores, and Arnold are all the same person, what would that mean?
I think that would mean that, they're going in the tradition of The Usual Suspects, these kind of things that set up a great narrative for you and then recontextualize it by giving you a great twist.
That is an excellent pivot because it can get us on a whole topic of what are the greatest twists of all time. Nicely done.
That was incredibly
That was
well done.
incredibly well done. What do you think about the idea that maybe there is a physical maze and weirdly Arnold's like living in it, calling the host back unto him like a gopher because gophers call robots to them.
That makes me think of Caddyshack. You remember the gopher in Caddyshack? That is such a funny movie.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that.
Pivot. And you know what? You can have alternate pivots. What if you're with nerds? Anthony Hopkins in this show.
Anthony Hopkins. Thor.
You gotta go Thor.
Is he showing up in Thor 3? There's that picture he was in like street clothes. Like, what's going on?
Well, and of course that's a secondary pivot because Luke Hemsworth is on the show.
Oh, well, there you go.
So there you go. You got the Hemsworth combination.
Hemsworth.
Oh man, Charlie, what are the fans saying? What are they saying is a good pivot? Do they have any theories you want to share?
So most of the people in the comments have seen the show, and we're all talking about our own theories here. But we actually have some corrections for you guys. Some things that were wrong that we said. Westworld not based on a book. I guess that might have been said early up top. Westworld was based on the movie Westworld. Jurassic Park is a book by Michael Crichton, not the same. And also Tessa Thompson in Thor Ragnarok, not in Black Panther.
I said Ragnarok, didn't I?
I thought Tessa Thompson was in Black Panther.
Just saying what the commenters have.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I feel like she's in Black Panther.
Let me address the corrections really quickly, because you're right. I think I did say book because I was thinking of Jurassic World, but you're right. He wrote the screenplay to, I thought of Jurassic Park. He wrote the screenplay to, I don't use the right words a lot of times, people, because I say things and they're weird things. But yes, he wrote the screenplay to Westworld, which was the movie that was based on with Yul Brynner.
And it was his directorial debut. It was his way of getting into Hollywood, and it failed. And then look at what happened.
Yeah, but I'm 99% sure that I did say Tessa Thompson in Thor. If I didn't say that,
I said Tessa
wrong,
Thompson was in Black Panther
because she is playing Valkyrie in Thor, and that's another pivot if you're with the nerds.
Well,
but good corrections, guys. What else you got?
Also, a plea for Dan. Dan, they asked, please, can you watch Westworld? You're missing out.
Well, I just want to ask, okay, so if I get this right, it's a show with a huge cast, it's set on a mysterious world, it's a shadowy overseeing organization, they ask existential questions, there's multiple timelines, and there's a man in black. Please explain to me how this is not Lost.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lost was one of the best shows ever on television. Why would you not want something that is like that, but with even better actors in a world that still can lead to these sorts of conversations? You don't need a bunch of episodes. You can just sit down for 10. And 10 hours of your life is all we're asking for, Dan.
I'm just saying I put a lot of time and man hours into Lost over the years, and I can't. I can't.
I think we can do a Lost debate at another time.
Sure.
However, I will say this is a much shorter investment of time because Lost, you had several seasons that were 20 or more episodes roughly, right?
You have 10. You have 10 episodes
here.
It's not even enough, quite honestly.
Yeah. Then 10 hours, it's full of, it's first of all beautiful. I think you will like the cinematography.
Makes me want to go to Utah.
Utah is gorgeous. So it has excellent performances in it. It's just a fun sort of puzzle to unwind, and we're going to get to the answer in 10 short episodes. There's not much we're asking of you, Dan. Any more corrections for us, Charlie?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Well, we love all of these theories. We love what you guys are talking about. Please tweet us at SJ News. Let us know what you're thinking about. Leave comments. And of course, like and subscribe. And you can always click here for more Screen Junkies news. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks so much for being with us.